These are great. There's so many seasonings that you could do, but I really like the herbs de Provence on these, and I also really like the salt because it adds flavor. And by using kosher salt, it kind of has like little punches or pops of salty flavor on here, which is nice. Welcome to Nourish Nutrition, where we're not following the recipe. You know, cooking for one requires using what you've got and adapting recipes, a lot of adapting recipes. And so I am here to show you how to do just that. I'm Rebecca, the dietitian and home cook behind the scenes at Nourish Nutrition blog, and let's cook without following the recipe. So today I'm going to be making roasted green beans, but not just any green beans. I'm using frozen green beans, which makes it super easy, much more affordable, and available kind of year round whenever you want them. I like this recipe because it's really easy, and the recipe that I developed originally just is seasoned with like salt and pepper and I think garlic powder, which makes it really versatile. And the reason I like to keep it really simple is that versatility. I can make a couple batches if I want, or a couple servings, I guess, by batch cooking, and then I can keep them in the fridge and use them in other dishes later. And because the seasonings are simple, I can add more seasonings to them if I want, or I can just throw it into whatever I'm eating, have an easy vegetable that's not gonna have like totally different flavors than what I'm eating it with. So I really like that, and I'm here to show you kind of those other tips and tricks that I use to make cooking for one easier. Another thing that I like about this recipe is there's many ways to prepare them. Of course, the oven is simple and easy, but you don't need to bake them in the oven to roast. You can cook them in an air fryer, which is not my absolute preferred way, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. You can also cook them on the stove, like steam them or steam them and then let them brown up or crisp up just a tiny bit. And my favorite way to use frozen vegetables is to like throw it into whatever I'm eating. A lot of times if there's like something saucy, or if I'm cooking pasta, I'll throw in frozen vegetables in that pasta water at the end of the cooking time, and then I have vegetables that are ready to go that don't take an extra pan or additional time, and it's just super easy. Now back to my point about the air fryer or even oven, to be honest. So a little like a warning or something to think about. If you are a texture person, like if you're very aware of and like foods of certain texture but not of other textures, then I would recommend cooking your green beans for less time in the oven or cooking them on the stove. And the reason for that is these green beans, as green beans are, they've got a good amount of water in them, and these ones have a little bit more because they've been frozen and those cell walls have been broken down a little bit more, and they've got more water in them. So as that water evaporates in the dry oven and in the dry, I don't know, is it even more dry, air fryer more dry than oven? I'm not sure. But either of those two places, they're gonna dry out, especially the longer that you cook them. So the more brown that you want your green beans, the less kind of moisture or water you're gonna have in them, and that's gonna affect the texture a lot. So if you are somebody who doesn't like green beans where you can taste the bean more than the green outside part of it, cook them less or don't use the oven or air fryer. That's my recommendation. If you like the flavor of it being more brown, then that's fine too. It's just kind of a preference thing. So keep that in mind, and I'll show a different way of seasoning. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do. I'll figure it out along the way. I've got a little bit of time. Here are the ingredients that I plan on using. I've got some frozen green beans. Now, a couple notes about the green beans. It is important what green beans you choose. Don't do French green beans because they're so thin, and they're just so thin that they're gonna cook really quickly and probably burn, and I wouldn't do those. But you can do whole green beans or even the ones that are chopped up. Again, depending on the size of them, you'll just have to watch the cooking time. I'm using olive oil because that's gonna coat them and help them brown up. And then I'm also using herbs de Provence and salt. Now, herbs de Provence is something that I have had for a while and don't use very much, but it's really lovely seasoning from the south of France. It's got, as I'm looking up on my phone, it's got, a lot of them have rosemary, maybe fennel, thyme, basil, marjoram, lavender flowers, parsley, oregano, tarragon, and maybe bay. So lots of different seasonings there, something a little bit more lavendery than Italian seasoning, and it's really nice, so highly recommend using it. So the preferred way of preparing these green beans is to throw the frozen green beans, oil, and seasonings to throw them all in a mixing bowl. That's gonna help everything get coated, all of the green beans get coated, distribute the seasonings well. But to be honest, I'm gonna take the easy way here because I just wanna save some time and a dish. So I'm going to be preparing mine on the baking sheet, and it's not as preferred, but it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine enough. So let's get started. So I'm starting out by pouring out some green beans. I'm doing a couple of servings here. So I've got a couple servings of green beans here. Since I'm turning the oven on and using the energy, I want to have some leftovers. So next I'm gonna be pouring on some olive oil. That should be good because I see some big puddles here. The one thing to keep an eye on when you're preparing your whatever it is in the pan that you're gonna use, you wanna reduce the number of those puddles there because they're just gonna kind of burn and they're not gonna be useful at all. I'm gonna sprinkle some herbes de Provence. Now again, like I said, don't season them unless you know what you're gonna be cooking with them. To be completely honest, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be enjoying these green beans with. I'm not really in the mood to plan yet, so we'll be kind of throwing stuff together for the week, and that's fine. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're okay mixing different flavors of different foods together for your meal, that's fine. If you don't want to, then don't add different herbs. Just keep, salt and pepper and stuff like that. So again, you want to evenly coat the green beans. I can always add more oil if I need to. I just prefer to go with less than more, especially here, so then I don't have burning spots where there's no green beans using the oil. Now I can toss these again during the cooking time, which I would recommend, so they can get more cooked more evenly. And I'm going to distribute them kind of a single layer as much as I can because, again, they're gonna cook more evenly that way. Which is often very good. You don't want, they'll be cooked long enough that I don't think there won't be any frozen pieces, but you could have some that are not browned at all. And depending on your oven, ovens don't cook super evenly. So tossing them around is gonna help them cook more evenly. All right, so I'm gonna place my green beans in my lovely 1950s oven. Look at these. We've got a little bit of browning. They all look great. I am excited to try them. All right, so these green beans are done. They are fantastic. There's like a little bit of brown, a little bit of crispiness on the edges, but they haven't shrunk or shriveled too much, and they're perfect. Who would have thought that you could get great roasted green beans from frozen? This is a fantastic way to save time, money, effort, and to have something delicious that doesn't take very much. These are so good. They're really tender still, and they didn't get overcooked. That 400-degree oven really is the key. I've seen some recipes that have a higher temperature, which is fine. It might cook a little bit faster, but there's less wiggle room for them to get burnt or to get them too cooked. So these are fantastic, great with herbs de Provence. I would even add some lemon juice to it, which I don't have at this moment, but that would be really great on it, and or some Parmesan cheese or something like that. There's lots of options here. So I'm curious, let me know in the comments what kind of toppings or seasonings that you would add to these green beans to really make them delicious, or what you would serve them with. I'm curious what your favorite green beans, like main dishes to serve green beans are. And like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. It's really helpful to get these videos out to people who are cooking for one and want some tips and or resources for that, because there's really not very much out there. So again, like and subscribe, share with anybody who you know who's cooking for one, and we'll see you next week.